How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. You know what, you guys? I probably never officially announced this, but I officially became financially independent. So what does this mean in terms of this YouTube channel? Officially, I am LeanFIRE. What does this mean? It means that bare bones, I can afford to not work, not do YouTube, and still be able to meet my living costs. Now, LeanFIRE is not the most glamorous thing because you actually have a very limited budget. You are barely spending any money on anything, and my LeanFIRE expenses is around $13,800 every single year. Now, this requires me to not spend anything extra on travel nor electronics, so this is a little bit restrictive. So with this financial independence, even if it's LeanFIRE, you know what this means in terms of this YouTube channel, right? It means I can actually do anything I want, really, including sitting here and absolutely make a very uninteresting video. You know, it's around 2:30 right now. I kind of got into the habit of drinking a coffee because it's just so pleasurable. I drink one in the morning and I'm like, man, that tastes so good. I should have another one right now. Anyway, I'll be back. I'm gonna make a coffee first. Is the audio back on? Yeah? Yeah, it's on. Hello? Hello? Takes me about 8 minutes to make this. It's almond milk from real almonds. I made the almond milk myself. I grind the coffee with a hand grinder. It's drip coffee, except I immerse the coffee grinds inside a hot liquid for about good 2 minutes before I actually start dripping it. It tastes fairly good, not as good as an espresso, but I'm thinking of getting one of those. Anyway, I was just kidding. I'm still gonna make videos. I kind of enjoy it, I think. But when it really comes down to it, I'd say I probably would enjoy FatFire because this is what people strive towards anyway, because you want to be comfortable enough where FatFire really means that you are financial independent, retired early, except it's fat in terms of you have more money than you actually use so that you can kind of increase your standard of living a little bit. So in my case, right, I spend $13,800 every single year without electronics, without traveling. Normal fire would be with electronics and with traveling. So it would really be about 21, 22,000 like I outlined in my previous video. FatFire, I would think, is probably around 30, 40, $50,000 even. I wouldn't even know what to do with that money because currently, whenever I go travel, I'm like, oh yeah, everything I want to eat, I go and get it anyway. So I think this is a goal for a lot of people, but it may not be easily obtainable. People, yeah, want a lot more money. They want to live comfortably and not bare bones, of course. But when you really think about this fat fire, lean fire thing, it always centers around money, right? How much money do you need in order to retire? The thing is, once you have enough, you can kind of step back from it and go, well, you might not want more and more money, because as soon as you retire, you have all the time to yourself. You may not want to obtain more and more material goods. So what do you obtain instead? Do you obtain more money? Do you want to obtain the most happiness? I'd say one of the main life goals is to live true to yourself and also to the best of your ability. So when it's true to yourself, then you have something that you like to do, that you enjoy doing, and then you give it your all. You just put all your effort into it. And that in itself, it's very, very satisfying. And I would say if anyone spends all their time doing this in their lifetime, they're going to not regret this very much, because every single day it's just such a pleasure to accomplish whatever that you really like. Anyway, let me get back to financial independence, getting a little bit too philosophical here. LeanFIRE, by the way, if I didn't mention it in the very beginning, is bare bones living. You just absolutely must have this amount in terms of this is your minimal burn rate. If you do not have this amount of money, you're going to suffer. You're going to be missing something that you normally have. So like I said, my bare bones minimum is $13,800, give or take $1,000 or two, right? But most people that are living in California cannot live on $13,800. This is like below poverty level. One of the main reasons I'm able to do this is because I have a paid off home. Now I'm going to talk about how I actually paid off my home so quickly, about 8 years or so. But before getting to that, let me talk about this 4% rule real quick. The final amount that you need in investments is $414,000. Now, this is an amount that I actually do have across my retirement accounts, my brokerage accounts, and my cash savings. These are all actual liquid amounts that I actually do have. And so if I were to strictly follow this 4% rule, you could definitely consider me right now, LeanFIRE right now. So, I can just throw up my hands, not do any of this YouTube stuff, and just kind of sit around if I invest my money properly. This 4% rule follows from the Trinity study, and a lot of financial independent retire early people go by this rule. They go, if you invest your money 50% across bonds and the other 50% in low cost ETFs, S&P 500 or something, if you just put half of your money there, then this allocation is essentially going to guarantee you a very high chance of success, over I think 96% or something of success, that you're going to definitely not run out of money, and you can withdraw about 4% of the money that you have every single year in order to live, and then you're essentially never going to run out of money. But 96% to 99% is not good enough for me. I prefer something a little bit more guaranteed than that. Now, at the same time, you can go, wow, beat the bush, $414,000 in cash. Yeah, I have this laying around. I can have direct access to it. I can go around buying a Lamborghini if I really wanted to. But, most people that are frugal, financially independent, mindset type of people, even though you have this cash laying around, you're not going to go around buying something like that. I'd say, yeah, I want something like that, just to play with. But I feel like if I have a Lamborghini or something, I'm going to get bored of it after 2-3 months or so, just kind of drive it around and go, hey, yeah, this is really cool. And then I won't find anywhere to be able to park it because it's such a hassle. People are going to stare at the car. And I do know for a fact that the maintenance on it is going to be crazy. But when will I buy such a thing? I think I will buy such a thing just because, you want to live life to your fullest. But I need to have, I'd say like $2 to $3 million of liquid assets. This is outside of equity in a home or anything. This is in cold hard cash. I need to have this amount before I would even start to consider spending like 5% of this on a Lamborghini. So some people, yeah, if they have $100,000, $200,000, they're just gonna plop it all into a car, and this is basically their life savings. But no, The more financially responsible people, they need to have a certain amount before they would buy a Lamborghini. So when you look at the surface, sometimes when people have a Lamborghini, they might be really broke, behind the scenes. Other people, they might be able to, actually really able to afford it. So, you have some of these people that buys those things to look like they can afford that and much more. Now, let me say, hold on. Coffee's getting cold. I need to drink this. While I'm doing this video. Okay. Without a paid off home, it's going to be a lot harder to retire early. You can do it, but know that before I actually paid off my home, my burn rate was around $40,000 every single year. This is as low as I could get it at the time. So if you think about how much liquid assets I need in order to even LeanFIRE back then, it would be $1 million in the bank in order to afford all those mortgage payments. So to me, paying off the house is a pretty hard thing, right? It's pretty hard in order to, muster enough cash in order to just plop it down over there. But I think it really makes me feel a lot better knowing that that debt is not there and that my burn rate is actually, 13 some $1,000 at its minimum rather than $40,000. Because if you look at it, wow, it's like 3 times as much. So having a lot more of this investable cash is a lot more difficult, at least in my point of view. So some of you have asked me, how the heck did you pay off your house? Oh my gosh, you're in California. I'm actually in the Bay Area. The housing costs here is crazy. This place, it's kind of unheard of that, someone single like myself, just living here by myself and, just kind of taking up a lot of space and not renting it out even. So this is a luxury that I personally want myself. I don't want roommates or anything, but I have to say, you might go, how do you pay off your house so fast? There's no secret to it. All I did was bought my home, when it was a little bit lower in 2010 or so. And I was working an engineering job, so it was a fairly high paying job, and I worked there for a number of years. And also I was frugal this whole time. I was a little bit less frugal before because, I had to buy a car. Sometimes I buy a lot of toys. I buy a lot less toys these days. So I would say my burn rate, has just kind of trickled lower and lower. So with that said, I'd like to show you guys my mortgage balance payoff amount. This is a graph of my mortgage balance, and you can see the way it goes, right? It looks sort of like, I don't know, is this like an inverted logarithm? At first, it's a very linear, slowly going down type of curve. And then, the last few years or so, I just went kind of nuts, paying it off with huge intention and just really attacking that debt. So my strategy in paying it off really was not to just keep on putting money in. Every single time I have some more money, every single time I have a paycheck of a few $1,000s, right? I don't go, okay, I'm going to put as much of it as I can into the mortgage. This is because what I wanted to do was just have this lump sum of cash laying around, because my idea was that if there was ever a downturn in the housing market, then I can jump right in with a huge down payment and just buy another home and then just kind of wait for it to come back up. Then I would make a lot more money. Well, this did not happen. So I actually saved a big lump of cash, right? And I waited towards the end where I knew I can easily pay off the entire balance along with some emergency cash on top of this so that I would feel comfortable. Even if I paid it all off, I won't have $0, right? Then when it neared the point where I can actually pay off the entire mortgage balance, I attacked it very aggressively. And there's this little strange thing that I personally like to do myself on my mortgage balance is because my mortgage lender, they actually wanted me to say, okay, I'm going to pay it off. They're going to tell me how much I need to pay it off. And then I have to write some sort of like certified check or something, and I have to pay something. So what I did not want to do was do all this, paperwork. So what I did was just put more money into it, but I did not fully pay it off. So I would just put chunks of money in there a little bit at a time. And doing it this way allows me to just sort of transfer money from my bank into the mortgage balance, and there would be no paperwork at all. I just kind of pay more into it rather than just one huge lump sum, because this kind of stresses me out. So what ended up happening is I kept on paying it down until I had only a few $100s left of mortgage balance in there. And then in the end, it turns out that they still require me to, do some certified check for the final payment. At the last payment, they actually needed me to pay some other fee on top of this. I forget, it was like a few $100s, some sort of paperwork. They have to transfer the deed or something like that. And so after all that, it was finally over, and, I paid off the whole thing. So what's the secret here to paying off the house? The secret here is that there is no secret. I just worked at a high-paying job, and I just spent very little basically, and just paid off the house a little bit at a time and saved the cash until I can pay it off. And then once I know I can pay it off, then I pay it off. Now, as you recall, I made some videos a while ago saying, okay, I saved 100% of my income. Now, back then it was about a year before I quit my job, and I had all this residual income. And then I also spent very little money. So this residual income from YouTube, from dividends, stocks, savings, interest, municipal bonds, all these things added up so that it can supply enough in order to cover my burn rate. So then all of this income I got from my engineering income, I saved 100% of it. All of it just kind of plops into my savings. Now you can imagine, if you're working as an engineer and you making six figures, well, I'm putting six figures into my savings account. Now, you guys don't get all excited or anything, because I was only able to do this for 1 year. Before this year of saving 100% of my engineering salary, of course, it's somewhat a little bit less than that before. So if I made six figures, it's like 100K, right? You subtract about 25K for taxes, 40K for my burn rate, and then you end up with about 35K just plops into my savings. And this is just, at the very beginning of my career. So as soon as I was able to make a little side income, as soon as I was able to reduce my burn rate, sometimes I make some extra cash on the side, the amount I saved gradually increased over the years. So there you have it, you guys. LeanFIRE, it is. It really doesn't change much for me, because I still like doing these YouTube videos. It also gives me something to do, because if I weren't, concentrated on doing these YouTube videos, I wouldn't know what else I'm gonna do. Go eat all day. You really can't do that all the time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this gives you some insight on how to reach this LeanFIRE state. Some people, they might choose to not pay off their house because, some people, they just don't like the idea of having so much cash tied up. This is my own personal choice. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to give me a like, comment down below. Let me know what you think of this way of reaching LeanFIRE, and maybe possibly FatFIRE. And as always, don't forget to push that subscribe button and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.